What if I told you the screenwriting software you choose could potentially make or break your writing experience? Now today I'm putting 5 different programs to the ultimate test. I'm going to be writing the exact same scene in each one of these programs. And these programs range from cost-wise anywhere from free all the way up to $200. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's the Screenwriting Scribe. My name is Paul, and if you're new here, this channel is all about helping you master the craft of screenwriting with practical tools and, as always, honest reviews. Now today's experiment is simple, but very revealing. I'm going to write the opening 2 pages of my latest project called Drones in 5 different screenwriting programs, starting with the free option and working my way up to the premium software. We're talking about Kit Scenarist at $0, Fade In at $79, Script Studio, which is at $149, Final Draft at $199, and I wanted to throw in one of my other favorites, SoCreate, which has a subscription model and has a very different way of putting a scene together. Now, the scene we're testing involves a police officer responding to a domestic call, completely unaware that he's being surveilled by a surveillance drone. It's got dialogue, it's got action, scene transitions, character introductions, everything we need to really test how these programs handle real screenwriting. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which software gives you the best bang for your buck, which one feels the smoothest to write in, and more importantly, which one is right for your writing style and budgets. Let's dive right in. Well, the first one we're going to look at today is Kit Scenarist. It is a free software from the makers who are currently making Story Architect, so you might see some stuff that looks familiar. Now, the interesting thing about this program, it is free, so 100% free. The only thing that you do have to pay for would be any storage, cloud storage stuff. Everything else is free. There's no other paywalls or anything, but that's just because you're going to want to store it to the cloud, so it costs them money to do that. So that's the reason why it's not free. So as we look at the interface sort of here, we can take a look at it as we just sort of get sort of the figure. So here's sort of some of the side menus. They have a statistics. They have a card view where you can make and add cards and move stuff around. They have a research function, which is really nice. And the research function can talk about characters, you can talk about locations, you can add documents in there. And I think for tools, I was thinking there is a ability to make a mind map, and I can't remember where those are at. Here it is, under documents, add mind map. So a mind map is sort of like a way to sort of say, okay, I want this central idea here, and I can make spokes off of that and off of other things as well too. You can also add images to this as well too. This is a nice sort of a place to collect documents and stuff like that. And you have some other stuff like title page, log line, that type of stuff. But let's get back to the script. Sort of take a look at how the rest of that page of this works for us. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to highlight some of the stuff. So this is remove selected script item. Here you can either look at this in terms of a draft, scene descriptions, script bookmarks, or script dictionaries. Let's see what this one is. This one, what is that one? This one here is outline mode, so you can do it as an outline. This one here shows or hides additional panels. So again, if we can add scene descriptions, you sort of see that here at the bottom. You can add script bookmarks here. You can also add script dictionary. So you can see all these different things here on the side. So if that's something you want to do, we're just going to go back to draft and get rid of these other things, which I do by just clicking on them again, and that gets rid of. So I can just go up there and that removes the draft as well. So we can undo our last action. We can redo the last action. This sort of tells us where we're at in terms of if we want to create a scene heading, scene characters, action, character, dialogue, parenthetical, yada, yada, yada. We can do this manually by clicking up here and selecting what we want, or we can use the tab function, which we'll show you here in a second. Up right here, text, fast format. You can look for stuff. You can review stuff. And this is sort of the duration, which is from start to current position, and that type of thing. So you can sort of see how long your movie estimated is going to be. So let's begin typing what we're going to be working on again today. Again, my drones. And so I'm just going to go through this, and I'm just going to probably, you'll just see me do this really quickly. And I'll sort of give you how I feel about how the interface works, how easy it is to use and that type of stuff. So I'll begin and I'll catch you after this fast transition on writing this particular document. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the fade in. So I'm going to start that for transition. And the nice thing about that is you just see off to the side, it automatically throws up a menu for me. I hit return, and that brings me back to scene heading. So again, as we go through here, I'm going to be doing this fast, but at times you'll slow down and I'll sort of talk about how to do certain things or certain features when they pop up. So just bear with me as we go through. So again, as we go through here, you can sort of see it will automatically fill in day for me. You can also see here when I typed in exterior, it gave me a list of different things as well with day. I think there were some other things that it popped up as well too. So just keep in mind, one of the nice features about Kit Scenarist, like many of the things that we'll look at today, it automatically auto-fills in for you. So one thing you'll notice in this right now is it doesn't automatically highlight. I spelled veins wrong. And so I think I have to click on settings and to have spell check around. So give me just a second. So I hit the settings. As you can see, spell check is not on. So in order to do that, we need to click on spell check. We need to go down to English. There we go. And then we can go back to our script. And then right there we go. We have all these different words that I forgot to spell correctly, and so now they are spelled. Now I can go back and change them and stuff like that. So be mindful that if you see that the spell check wasn't hit, that you might have to go into settings to do that, and you can set it to whatever particular language you're using. One other thing I want to point out about Kit Scenarist, the wonderful nice thing about it is it has a lot of different languages. So if you're Spanish or you can here's the list of all the languages that you can use and type in here. It looks like it's mostly, which shouldn't surprise me, a lot of it is Eastern European. A lot of these are Eastern European, and it makes sense because the people who created this are Russian or have some type of Russian heritage. Okay, so getting back to our screenplay, we'll continue our writing. This one is a shot that we're doing, so I'm just going to go down to the shot and highlight it, and there we go. So the one thing about this I'm noticing in terms of let's go back to action. The one thing I'm noticing about this as I'm writing it is it doesn't easily, when it highlights when it goes with me trying to change this to a particular shot, what it's actually doing is it's changing the whole line. So even though it has a shot, you can see it's changing the full format. So that's something that it can't easily do by itself. We might go to action, and to make it just easier on us, I'm just going to capitalize it. So I'll keep typing. So what I'm going to do right now is change this to a subline. So what I'm going to do is just hit tab, and eventually I'm not going to get to what I need. So I need to just go up here and do scene heading. So that's something too. It sometimes gets stuck between character and action. So I actually had to go up here and select this here. Again, not a big deal. Doesn't take that much time to do. So as we go through this particular subline, again, you can see how it highlights it. It tells me I can easily select interior, and then everything is all in capitalized, so I don't have to even hold down the caps. And then as you see from the menu, you have all these different things here, and we're going to hit continuous. The nice thing about it is when I hit the C, it automatically generates it for us. So again, this auto completion is really nice within Kit Scenarist. All right, so what I did, so let me go change one spelling error here real quick to make sure I got my correct character name. All right, so what you're noticing here, I just created, again, I just used the tab function to get dispatcher. And again, I hit return, and I just used, the tab function in order to create a parenthetical. And then I can just hit return from that, and then it'll automatically go into dialogue for me. So again, something really nice and easy for us to do. It's really doing a good job catching all these formats. So here I go with doing another character. Now the interesting thing, it automatically autofills dispatcher, but I'm going to use Santos as who's our main character, as a new person. So I just simply hit return. Now if I need to do any sort of parenthetical, I guess I would hit tab here, or I can just hit tab again and it takes me back to dialogue. So as you see here, I'm easily just hitting tab. It's automatically auto-filling in for the last, it recognizes that there's two different characters. We've been going between Maria and Santos. And so the nice thing is that Kit Scenarist is understanding this and giving me the next choice as Santos. So as I'm going right here, since it told me that it flagged as a wrong word, I can just right click and it can give me a bunch of different words that I can pick from. So just another little thing here as we go through. So we just started our second page. And as you can see how easy it is to use so far. And we'll take a look at the card section here in a couple of moments after we're done with this, so you can sort of see how that section works as well too. So here's something interesting. I just hit return. Since we're on a new page, I'm going to hit S and it automatically defaults to Santos. We can just hit return. Again, it's very easy to find the characters you're looking for. All right, so I'm starting something new here again. Let's see if I can tab and pick up that slug line again. Nope, it's not letting me do that. So I go back up to Maria and I'm going to change this to scene heading. And then we can go back to resuming typing. Again, if we're wondering where we're at in terms of what type of line we have, we can simply look up here and it tells us we're in the action one. I actually just did that because I just made some changes in the document. I'm like, is it really the right thing that it's doing? And it is. It's on an action element is what we're adding. So again, it automatically jumped it to, you saw what it did there. I typed in the beginning of a slug line. It automatically formatted it in that way that we needed to have as a slug line. So again, some intelligent design in terms of creating slug lines and noticing when elements need to be a certain thing. So it automatically sort of auto-filled again. That was going to be in the police cruiser. And again, I can simply type C for continuous. And here we go again. All right, so I'm just going to fix some of my spelling mistakes here. If you want to look at some of the card functions here, we can take a look at the different card functions. And if we would move the cards around a little bit, if we move this one up to here, if we look on our script, it starts off with that. So that's nice to know. And so we'll restore it back to where it should be at. There we go. So my thoughts in terms of using Kit Scenarist, it's really pretty easy. It's got a lot of functionality, especially for free. Again, this is free. Now, again, the cons is that it's not updated. So there's certain features that are not present in here that are present like in Story Architect or something like that. It doesn't have dual dialogue. Again, there's no more updates. So if you find some bugs within the program, you can't really do anything about it. One of the biggest bugs that I found within the program is after you work on a script for a little while, it can't find your script or open your script up in terms of it'll say you can't write in it. You simply have to change where the script is located at on your hard drive. You have to create a new folder for it, and then you'll be able to edit it again. But that's a bug that can sometimes really frustrate folks if they don't know what to do, but that's the solution for that. If you want to know about more just how to use Kit Scenarist, I created a video about this. I actually have a whole playlist about how to use Kit Scenarist. You can take a look at that, and I'll put that linked in the description below. So what do you think about Kit Scenarist? Like I said, for what it offers, it does some pretty cool stuff. And like I said, if you're just trying to start right now, this might just be the way to figure out if this is something you like to do. You can just, and like I said, it does a real good job. It's a lot better than many of the other free software out there right now. Take a look. Let's go on to our next one. Let's take a look at Fade In next and see the difference between Fade In as well as Kit Scenarist. Okay, so here is Fade In. Now again, Fade In is about $80, $79.99, at least at the time of this particular video. And a lot of people like Fade In. I noticed that one of the most often looked at videos on my channel is how to use Fade In. Because it's a great software. Well, let's take a look at it, sort of show you how it works in terms of creating the scene and just sort of what you see on the screen. So like I said, you can see it's a little different. It's a little bit bigger than Kit Scenarist was. And then we have a lot of different icons off to the side. So let's take a look and peruse them as we go through. So here you do have all your other. So here at the top, you have several other things that we're used to seeing in most programs. But here are some of the icons. This first one here is a new, you can create a new screenplay from that. This is open a particular folder or open a different screenplay. Again, save. Here is cut. This one is copy. This is paste. Again, it has a undo or redo section. Here, this is a find function. So instead of last time in Scenarist, we have instead of that, I have a magnifying glass, we have these binoculars. The next section is custom view colors. So if you want to change the view, the colors within the view. This is sort of the script that we're looking at. This one is page view. I think this is just normal view. Yep. Then we have continuous view. We have side-by-side view. Show title page. Index cards. We can look at those once we get there. And I think these other ones, what revision we're on, revision mode, print, and of course, fade in help. If we look on the other side of the screen here, we see all the different formats that you can use. We know what font we're using. We also have bold, italics, that type of thing if we need that as well too. Character-wise, you can put stuff in, or you'll see different characters. We'll look at these a little bit more once we create the script, see if there's anything else that fills in with that. You have scene intros. I think you can add different ones if you like. Scene times. So it shows you what you have in terms of these different things here. Transitions and all of that. All right, so let's begin here. We're going to start with a transition shot, which is going to be fade. And again, just like Scenarist, we have it auto-completing for us, so we just can click on that. And then again, I just hit enter after that, and it already is going to a scene heading for us. And so we'll begin typing again, and as we go along, again, I'll stop as we go through and point out different things as we go along. And so the nice thing here is if you're wanting to know where we're at in terms of what element we are, you can see it highlighted here. We're in an action line right now. So you see in format, we're on action. Now, the nice thing about fade in, as we're going through, you'll notice that it automatically, I misspelled the second word here, and it's already telling me it's misspelled. I didn't have to go into options like I did with Scenarist and have it and tell it, hey, I need the spell check on. Spell check is automatically on when you use fade in. And again, I can just right click on the word and then correct and go to the correct word. We'll keep working. And the other thing too is, when I think about this particular script as well too, I have to go back through and check my rules and see if the whole line needs to be indented when we're talking about a particular shot. So that just might be my bad as we're going through this. So just so you are aware of that, that might just be something that I need to correct with my own. I have to, like I said, I'll take a look and hopefully I can put that in a later part of the video to let you know if I'm just not doing the formatting right for these particular things. I generally don't do a lot of camera movements in my script, and so that's why I'm not really well versed in it. And so we'll give it a try. All right, so I just got done with an action scene right now, and I'm just going back and forth between these two. Again, I want a new scene heading, so what I can do is just select here, boom, new scene heading. And again, I do not have to hold down. If I can talk and do the same thing at the same time, it's always easier. So again, I don't have to hold down the caps lock key or the shift key. It automatically, since I'm talking about a character, it automatically puts everything in all caps. Again, I'm going to hit return, and I have a choice between dialogue, and if I hit tab, it goes back to parenthetical, which just makes it easy for me to type in voiceover. And then we can simply go back to dialogue now. So I'm interested at this particular point right now, if we look at characters, so it's sorting it by people that we've heard or who have had dialogue. So if we select, so we know that we talked to the dispatcher. So what I'm assuming is going to happen, which I know is going to happen, is we're going to see the other ones as soon as they have speaking parts are going to show up here. Let's look at locations. And so we can see It's stored city skyline, and it also has stored the police cruiser as well. Again, these are just transitions. You can look at scene intros and other stuff like that as well too if you want. But let's go back to format as we go through and continue our journey writing. All right, let's go back and just check to make sure we can see the 3 characters. Yep, all 3 are there. And I think you can go through and edit. There's other stuff you can do with this particular thing. I'm not going to cover that in this particular video. But just so you know that when you click the characters, you can see all the characters that we've created who have dialogue. And again, we have Santos. We can select him right there. So real easy to know. So some extra features here. So we can take a look at this from a couple of different ways. So this one again is, let's see, page view. So this gives us a distinct page view. We can look at this as one continuous view. So there's no page breaks within this. We can do side by side if you want to take a look at your document this particular way. So these are just some different ways you can use this for fade in to look at different views. One thing that I remember right too, if you want to do more minimal work, where you can just have the script in front of you, and I'll show you how to do that again. You just simply go to, if you want to do that, just simply go to full screen minimal. And to get out of full screen minimal, there's the X. It's sometimes hard to see. I didn't see that until after I was scratching around for it. So yeah, just hit the X. It'll take you back out of that. And then you can just go back to view, hit full screen, and there you go. So fade in is really easy to use. There's a lot of other powerful features that you might like to use and explore. I have a video about how to use fade in. I'll link that as well. I think I have a playlist as well too for that. So take a look at that playlist for fade in as well. Like I said, it's really good for $80. And the nice thing about this, you pay a one-time cost. It's $80, and then any updates they do are for free. So you don't have to pay for any updates. And like I said, it's really easy to do, looks really slick, is pretty powerful with a lot of different things that you can use. And they are still working on it too. So this is not like Scenarist where they've done everything they will do on it. This one they keep updating it. So just so you're aware of that. So let me know in the comment section below. How do you like fade in? Is there anything that you really thought looked cool or you have any questions about? Leave them in the comment section below. And let's head on to our next type of software, Script Studio. The next software we're going to use today is from Script Studio. This costs about $149, though I have seen it as cheap as $100. The nice thing and the thing that really sort of stands out for me with Script Studio is sort of their character development. Again, I am sort of just inside the document right now. And let's take a look around along the side here. This is sort of, you could say it's maybe a step up from fade in. I don't know. I think fade in just really works because of its simplicity. But here, if you need some more different types of tools, Script Studio definitely is a software to take a look at. Now, along the side here, we have an outline. We have the script. So we'll be using this mainly. We have notes. We can create notes about different characters, or if we want to do an outline, like I said before, there's that. For character development, this is probably where Script Studio shines the most. You can do a story arc where you can create your characters, have them answer a bunch of questions. You can do a character spotlight. In terms of really going back on the character and understanding the characters and diving into all these different things, I'd have to add a new character, but you'd be able to go through all these different ways so you can really see that they really go in deep on the character. And all you need to do is just hit the little red button that takes you back out. There's a name wizard if you want to use a name wizard. You have cards again, like we have seen before in Fade In and Scenarist. A power view, which we'll take a look at a little bit more once we begin to do scenes. A feel factor, so you can see, for action, gore, mystery, passion, so you can sort of see how your screenplay sort of works in terms of these different things. And you can sort of say, okay, here's scene 1. I want to have a lot of fantasy in it. And then you can say, well, I wrote a lot of fantasy. Did I write a lot of fantasy? And you can sort of see how the gore or action or comedy goes through over all the different acts that you have. You have story tasks. You have a scratch pad again. Very similar to notes, title page, reference library. You can look at films like Scream or Seven. You can have a reference project, and they have a screenwriting glossary. So if you want to go through and say, hey, I don't really understand what this screenwriting term means, you can look it up inside Script Studio. One nice feature I haven't seen in a lot of other screenwriting programs. If we go back to Script here, the other things you'll notice up here is you can. This is so I have it right now. It looks like it looks like a film camera, so that's why it's in script mode. You can change this to novel mode or just regular mode. You can also change this to day mode. So if you want some, people are like, I'm a vampire. That's really bright. I don't like it that bright. You can do night mode, or you can do a custom theme as well too, and change. And you have a little custom theme here. You can change it. You can do light, dark theme, gray on black, and you can do some custom colors as well too. Let's just go back to night mode. And so that's basically sort of shows you what this document looks like, so this is basically what shows you all the different features of this. So like I said, it's a little bit more intense than fade in. So if you don't like all of these different doodads and stuff like that, if you like more minimalistic writing, fade in is probably going to be better for you. If you want something that's really strong on creating characters, this is a great sort of way to really flesh out. This has got probably one of the better ways to flesh out a character that I've seen in quite a while. So let's take a look as we begin writing. So the first thing I'm going to do is hit Tab, and that can a tab or return will get us to character. Or I have this little caret down at the bottom. If I want to start with a transition, let's start with a transition. Perfect. You have a couple extra ones. You have fade in, and then we begin writing with this. So as again, the interesting thing about this is you're seeing all your stuff down here. It's down at the bottom of your screen versus up at the top of your screen. So just so you sort of are aware of where you're seeing this at. Again, autofill. It doesn't seem like a lot when you do that. Oh, it does not have Dawn. Interesting. But if you start working with a screenwriting program that doesn't have autofill, you'll definitely notice it. And as we misspelled our first word, which we've been doing for the last couple ones, you can see that it has the spell check is automatically on. All right, we're going to try this here and see if it would just highlight this one particular word. I'm just curious. Nope, it does the whole thing. So I think that's probably what having looked at several different programs, and this is how they're sort of handling it, I'm assuming this is probably the best way to do it. And again, like I said, I don't use a lot of camera shots, but I'm probably just formatting it wrong on my side. So I think the software is doing it correctly. So right now I'm under an action scene, so I'm going to see if it automatically, yep, as soon as I typed in INT and put a period, it automatically formatted to know that it was a slug line or a scene heading. And again, I can just right click on elements that are misspelled, and it'll come up with a correct spelling for me. So this is where we put in our first character, and it automatically, I just tabbed, it's automatically giving me the right spacing. And again, I want to have that parenthetical, so again, I'm going to hit tab. Yep, and it automatically went to the parenthetical. Perfect. So I automatically went to character. It's showing me dispatcher right now because Santos would normally it'd be Santos continuous or something like that. So it's expecting a different character. And so I am now going to type in his wife's name, and here we go. Automatically is thinking it's going to be Santos, which is good. So we just hit return, and it gets us right to that line. Okay, so we're going to see if it can remember the police cruiser from before. Perfect. And then we can go back here and type in continuous. It automatically notices that. Perfect. Okay, so we run through this. It's really pretty easy. Now I just was noticing that the step cards, nothing really pulls up with this. I think I'm going to have to maybe switch to scene mode. See if that, aha, there we go. So scene mode, again, let's take a look and see if we can move the story around and it affects the script at all. Let's take a look at the full script. Yep, it shows, it even highlights it for you and tells you that you've done that and stuff like that. So that's pretty nice. Let's go back to the scene cards and move this back to where it needs to go. Oop, let's go over one more. There it goes, perfect. So now everything's in the right sort of format. And again, you go back to the full script, it shows you where it placed that particular thing in your script. Pretty nice feature and stuff like that. So now it doesn't do anything with the story arc because we haven't gone and engaged in doing this just as yet. So this is something you could do with like Santo's character or Maria's character or anything else that you want to do in this particular thing. So these things aren't filled out as you're doing your script. You need to do these as a separate thing. So this is sort of Script Studio. It takes a little while to get used to because again, it has a lot of extra features in here. So just be reminded as you go through that you need to learn those extra features. I do have a video about this. I haven't done much on Script Studio, though I think I'm going to do a little bit more. I did do a video, a live stream on how to do character spotlights and story arcs and the name wizard. I had a lot of fun doing that. I'll link that in the description of this video as well. Well, let's get to the granddaddy of them all, Final Draft, and see how that differs from the first three that we looked at. Is it great? Is it even better than all these? Well, for about $200, we'll see. Oh, the one thing I want to mention with this, there was a deal at one particular point in time that you could actually get $30 off the price of the $149 if you say that you're switching from Final Draft, so keep that in mind. Also, I haven't had to pay for any updates, which Final Draft is really famous for. So speaking of Final Draft, let's take a look and see how Final Draft looks writing our script. All right, at our most expensive one as of right now, at least fixed price terms, comes Final Draft. Final Draft 13 exactly is what we're going to be using today. So this is sort of what the interface looks like as we begin to look at it. So a couple things as we go through. So there's a collaboration key. There's different ways to look at it. We can split our script vertically, horizontally. We can swap panels. We can unsplit panels. We can look at the script from a normal view or a page view, a speed view from the beat board. So the beat board is basically a board where we can put ideas and stuff like that. I have a number of videos on Final Draft, and so take a look at those. I have a whole set of videos about that, and I talk about the beat board in one of those videos. So take a look at those if you're wondering about that. There's also scene view, index cards for script, and index cards summary. Again, the beat board. So again, you can create your ideas here and stuff like that. You have the title page. You can simply hit the red X to get out of that. Writing stats, how much you've written. So current streak, you can set a goal. You can even time out after a couple of minutes. Peak writing times, you can see for me is 3 to 4 p.m. or 9 to 10 p.m. Peak days, I tend to write on Thursdays and Fridays, so that's pretty neat. You can hide stuff, navigator. And as we begin to look here too, you can begin to see that you have this other feature here called outline. So you can drag beats from the story. So that way, again, it's another sort of way similar to cards where you can have beats of the story. Okay, they're going to be at the gas station here. They're going to have a fight over here. They have this romantic scene here. And so stuff like that as well too. Let's go back to looking at the page view of the script. And again, you can increase or decrease the size of this part here by simply clicking on this. Here it tells you what page you're on, it tells you what scene you're on, and again what we're going to be looking for in terms of how it does action or the nice thing about a Final Draft is it's down at the bottom and it's up at the top, so it's telling us we're going to do a scene heading first. You can also write for a period of time, so that's right here and handy dandy on the page. You can also talk and do a dictation. You can do focus mode, which basically takes everything off the screen and you can just type. And again, here you can sort of say, hey, I want midnight mode, or I want something a little lighter, or day mode, the light, it's bright. Or you can do something else, do a custom system as well. I like midnight mode, it's nice and dark for that. And again, you can increase or decrease the size of the paper as well too, or the image on the screen, so you can see the letters. If you have problems like me and have problems seeing, you can increase the font, or not necessarily the font size, but the size that you interact with the page on. So that's basically all there is to. So this is what the interface looks like. So a little different there's a little bit more items in this than you've seen in other screenwriting software so far. There's a lot more stuff. But again, if you don't want that stuff, you can go to focus mode and you can get rid of all these things if it's too distracting for you. So let's take a look and see how we do things. So the first thing we're going to do again is we're going to start with our transition. Again, fade in, perfect. And we'll just take a look. So again, easy. And again, what I'm hitting here is just tab or return. And then I can type in. And then see if it recognizes, yep, unlike Script Studio, this one recognizes that there is Dawn. So you can simply, I just used the arrow key and went down to Dawn and then hit enter to select it. All right, so again, I misspelled the first word as I've been doing in the last couple of times. Again, I can just right click. Here, you'll notice it's a little different than Script Studio. Script Studio has the words at the top, but here you have a lot more choices than Script Studio. And as you go through, it's real easy to replace the writing. Traffic, there we go. And concrete. Man, I've typed this a little too many times. We'll keep going here and see how everything grows. I'll be back to you again when we get to that first time we add the character, and just to sort of show you how that works. Actually, I'll come back to you a little sooner again. We're going to try this. I know everything's just sort of going to go up in terms of everything's going to just sort of elevate to all caps when we do this, when we do shots. Yep. So again, I believe that's the correct way to think of that. But we're going to go back to action, and then I can just type that in as caps. So it did recognize the interior. I typed an INT period, and it automatically formatted to the correct thing of scene heading, which I would assume, this being one of the most used screenwriting software, it does it flawlessly though. And so like I said, it does that real easily. This shows continuous with just the C, perfect. All right, so we're here to that first time around, so I'm going to hit tab. It automatically brings me to a character, and to notice that, you can see it up here. It tells me I'm in the character, and it tells me if I do a transition or an enter command I can use to look at all the different elements. So again, I'm going to hit return. Again, I hit tab, because if I look down here at the bottom, it tells me we can do a parenthetical by hitting tab. I do that. Perfect. So it automatically, again, like all the other softwares, comes up with the next one. Person, a new person, since we had one person talking, it assumes somebody else is. And we can just hit return, and it automatically puts Santos there, who is going to be the next person who's going to speak. Again, I just typed in EXT and automatically changed it to a scene heading or a slug line. Interesting, they had magic hour. It's just interesting to see what programs they choose to put in there for those little extra parts of your slug lines. All right, so let's see if it can pick up an old one. Yep, picked up the old one. And continuous, yep, perfect, just like all the other ones. Like I said, it just shows how easy it is to have those type of things, so you can just easily put it in. Let's see what it doesn't like about American. Did I spell that wrong? Oh, I did spell it wrong. That's what you get for retyping this four different times. So Final Draft, what Final Draft has done is actually put the scenes up here in the script, so you can sort of see, hey, this scene is here, this scene is here. And you can actually click on it. And I'm just hovering over it. It tells me what I need to know about that particular scene. So that's a nice little feature that it has. So if we take a look at some other views, let's take a look at the index cards for the script. Again, you can sort of see how those look. We'll do like we normally do, take the police cruiser continuously and stick it in front of this. We'll go back to our script page view, and we can see that it started with that. Just as easy again, we go back to that, grab that and stick it in the back there as it normally goes. So this is a little nicer in terms of just sort of able to see everything on there. And let's take a look at some other views. We can do index cards summary. So it just talks about that. You can type in notes here if you want to do a summary of that particular scene. And what it has here is just the slug line or just the scene heading up there as well too. You can see this in sort of speed view as well too. In terms of speed view, you just don't see any page delineations. You can look at the normal view. Again, you have the page just marked off with a horizontal line. And if we would look at the page view, I think it breaks it completely. Yep, you have a dark mark here, which makes it, you can see it's more of a page break right there for you as well too. So the downsides of using Final Draft is cost. It does cost a lot. They do update it fairly frequently, and the updates are not cheap. Normally the updates, I think this last Final Draft 13, because it was such sort of a debacle, with how little they actually updated, got down to about, I think the lowest I saw was about $59. Generally it's about $100 whenever you have to update this. So just keep that in mind if you want this. There's a lot of bells and whistles for this. So if you need a lot of bells and whistles, this is, I would pick Final Draft because there's a lot to it. There's a great place for brainstorming. Now, if you compare this to sort of Kit Scenarist, they have a lot of the same functions, though the Kit Scenarist version of the software is very much sort of a whittled down version of this. Does Kit Scenarist have research? Yep, but it's not as robust looking as something like Final Draft is. And so just keep that in mind as well too. Well, let's go to our last one, which is a totally different way to view how to write a script. It's very interesting, and especially if you like graphical stuff, give this one a try. It's SoCreate. So let's take a look at SoCreate and see how that looks. So next one we're going to take a look at is from SoCreate. So it's a subscription-based model. Right now I am paying basically $120 a year for this. Though that's a professional plan. The personal plan is a little less. It's about $60 per year. But the professional plan allows you to do the collaboration feature, and it allows you a lot more customizable tools. And so that's why I went with the Pro, though you don't need to do that with the Pro. But let's take a look at it because it has a totally different way of doing scenes and to write a scene. So I want to really show you this because I think it's really interesting. So as we look at SoCreate, it's a lot different sort of interface than what you're used to. This is for people who like to do graphical stuff. This works really well, and it's pretty cool. So the nice thing is once you print this out, though, it prints out in script format. So don't worry, just the way it looks right now, it actually is creating a script for you. So as we look here, you have these different functions. You can put in an action, character, a location, a transition, and it's got story structure. We're going to go through most of these as we go through here today. And then, like I said, you can put pictures. This is very much a graphical interface, so it's easy to download pictures. Plus, they have a lot of pictures on the sites as well, too, for you to use as well. Well, let's take a look into this and see how it works. We're going to start with that first scene. Actually, we're going to start with a transition here and add a transition. Let's do a camera transition. Let's see if it does have anything like pan. It does not have anything like pan. So it doesn't have anything like pan or... Oh, it does have fade in though. Okay, so I did find fade in. So there is that. So let's just type in fade in. Perfect. To move an element, you just simply collect on those three boxes and we hit it so it's higher than... There we go. We should be able to get it even higher than this thing here. Let's see. Well, we'll take a look when it actually Let me see if I can look at the script view and see what that looks like. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Okay. So we figured that out. This has been quite the way of doing things. All right. So that was under camera cinematic direction. Okay. So we did figure that out. Okay, so we were on scene 1. What we're going to do to fix this here is we're simply going to go to location, and then we're going to type in where we're at, which is a city skyline. If we want to add more about what that city skyline looks like, we can do that here. We are outside. We know that from the script that I've been writing, the exterior, so that's outside, and then it's actually during dawn. And so I just click on this little caret there, and I can switch down to dawn here. And then I can hit add location, and then, so that's the location it adds. The nice thing about this is you can sort of see, depending on what your city skyline looks like or whatever scene you're at, it actually gives you a little bit of an outline on the side, so it helps you go into how you feel about that particular scene. We're just going to create an action line here, and this is where we can type in our first parts of our screenplay here. So I wonder here, so this is where, let's do something interesting here. So I'm going to click. Okay, so then we have a new location. And the location is going to be a police cruiser. There we go. And we can change the image here if we want. We can select, we can upload an image. We can look at police car. We'll select this one, and we just hit use image. Perfect. And right now it is still dawn, and this is an interior shot. So we can just hit inside, and this is still dawn. So actually this is continuous, so we can just hit, see if they have continuous. They do not, but we can just hit dawn. Okay. This is a new scene, so we just hit add location. And so the next scene comes up with a police cruiser. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have an action line. So we're going to take this here and just add, just click on it. And so there we go. A thermos. Perfect. All right, so the next thing we do is we add a character. And this one's going to be dispatch. So you can do a bunch of different things. You can say it's a machine, animal, creature, if it's a male, female, whatever you want. We're just going to say it's a male. We can, you know, let's say they're 45. Let's actually make a young kid, 27, who's doing dispatch. We can add character. Again, we can change the image to whatever we want. We can add character, and so this is what they say. If now in terms of, let's see, so we just click this little icon here. It's normal dialogue. This one's voiceover. So so there's a couple different ways you can do off camera, voiceover, point of view, mouthing dialogue, text message. So we just hit voiceover dialogue, and then we just type in what they say. And then let's see if we can just left click here. Yep, we can simply do that. So the one thing I should point out about SoCreate is it also is online. So you do need an internet connection for this. This is a browser type of screenwriting software. So I should point that out to you as well too. So the next thing is when you want to just, again, if you want to add a action or a character, you're just basically going between action and character. It's really easy just to add that in there. And then I can go to the next one. It's as easy as clicking a button. we're going to add a new location. This one's going to be a residential street. This is outside. Again, it is during the dawn. And this will be a new scene. So we simply click. This is outside, dawn. And then we can just hit add location. And then in this part here, we just add a action. So the action just goes right there. And then for the next scene, we can go back to location. And let's see if it remembers police. So let's see if I can actually, I don't need to do that. I can actually go here and do police cruiser. And say that I want change image. Let's see, add a variation, edit location. Well, that should be fine. I wonder though, let's take that out for a second. Let's remove that. We'll add a new scene, add a scene after 3. And then we can add a police cruiser. Boom, that gets us inside the police cruiser. And then we can have the rest of this conversation. So then we can start with Maria. So I just go back and click on Maria. So if you want to take a look and see how this looks, because this looks a little weird, a lot wonkier. If you want to take a look and see how it looks, otherwise you simply need to go to export or print, and this will show you what your screenplay looks like. So you can check the, as you can see here, it does a real good job of placing everything that we did into screenwriting format. So that's one way you can check for yourself. And you can export it as a final draft or as a PDF. Getting to this menu up here, you can take a look at your settings, your shortcuts. You can take a tour of how to use the Create Writer piece or the SoCreate Writer piece. You can see I have a couple recent stories, your dashboard, you can create a new story, and these other things here as well too. So like I said, there's other, you can publish it, you collaborate, support. One of the things that's really nice about SoCreate is they're really good at coming and answering your questions, or if you have any problems at all. But you can see it's a little different in terms of formatting. You can even put a nice picture here. I've done that for some of my other stories. Again, you can change how the people are. Let's see if I can hit the eye. I can describe a character's appearance. I can describe the character's wardrobe. I can add a character bio. I can select a character voice. And if you look at the other menu, you can edit the character, add a variation, delete a character. So there's a lot of ability, and I could change this image to something else. I just picked whatever was there, not necessarily what reflected best, because I'm just making this video for you. But again, you can see how easy it is to use SoCreate. It's totally different though. It's very much a very visual way to put the stuff together. Still comes back out and gives you a great software. Still comes out and gives you a great script that is totally with how formatting should be, even though it looks different as you're doing this. It takes a little bit of time in order to get to using this, but as you can see, it was really easy to, like when I was just talking characters, boom, 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 or locations, boom, boom. I could just put them in and boom, they're right there. And these buttons here really get to the heart of everything as well too. When you're in these different things here, I think you should be able to again, you can add a variation, or here again, you can move stuff around as well too. And I want to say you can also use some of these. You can do it like in terms of loudly or sobbing. This is more like your parenthetical here. This is your dialogue type. And so if you're doing this again, all I did was just click in the box where the dialogue was taking place, and I could change those things here. So again, this is sort of your parenthetical, and this is sort of your dialogue type. So that's good to know as well too. So what do you guys think of SoCreate? I do have some more videos on SoCreate, though I should probably do a little bit more deeper dive as I do need to do in a lot of different softwares on how to use this and stuff like that. But like I said, let me know what you think. I do have a code in the description of the video. If you want to get the pro version like I have, you can get a discount on the pro version. It does give me a % back. So just so you know that. So it is an affiliate link, just to be completely transparent with that. So here's some things that I've noticed after doing this little video here. So for beginners on a budget, Kit Scenarist provides you don't need to spend a lot of money, and since it's free, to get a proper screenplay formatting. It's basic, but it works. And it's got a lot more surprises in it than you would think. It's got a lot of nice research features. It's bare bones for the most part, but it actually does, as much as I say it's bare bones, it does actually have a lot of features. It's just not a script editor. You do get a research function. You can do mind maps. It does have a little bit more panache to it than what you would normally get with a free software. Now, Fade In at $79 offers incredible value. It felt almost as smooth as the premium options, but at a fraction of the price, which is the reason why people love using Fade In. If you don't need all the bells and whistles of either Script Studio or Final Draft, it's something that would work really good. And like I said, I highly recommend it. I do have a playlist, like I said, which will be listed in the description below. Now, Script Studio, what I really loved about that is just its focus on characters. If you are very much oriented on characters, if that helps with your writing, Script Studio is the program for you. It's more expensive than Fade In, but it's bells and whistles in terms of characters is something that if that's again important to you, I would definitely take a look at it. So then we come to Final Draft. Final Draft is sort of the OG in the space. It does help that it's been really ingrained in the Hollywood system. The reason for that is people can use Final Draft scripts in order to figure out production costs and stuff like that. That's why people really like it. It's got a lot of features, much more than all the other ones we looked at. It's a lot better for sort of brainstorming with the beat board. It's got a lot of different options, a lot of options. It's not so character-centric as Script Studio. But like I said, if this is something that you really want to do, you're probably going to have to buy Final Draft. It is pricey. The updates are pricey, but unfortunately, that's where the industry's at right now. Until the industry is a little bit more free thinking, and there's other programs that help figure out production budgets, people are going to still use Final Draft. And then if we look at SoCreate again, it's a subscription model. It's also different, very different than the other 4 different types of screenwriting software that I showcased today. If you're very much a visual person, if you like all those pictures and all those graphics, and again, the people there are great. I would say all of the ones except for Final Draft have a support system that is really good. Fade In is one of the best ones. SoCreate is right up there with Fade In. They get back to you right away if they have any questions. That's one of the reasons I really love working with SoCreate, is because they also listen too. If you want a particular feature, they can get that feature integrated in for you or figure out a way to do it pretty quickly, or they'll be working on it. So I really like SoCreate from that perspective of their customer service has been really great. Again, as a visual person, I like SoCreate from the perspective that I can just see stuff visually. It's sort of cool to be able to see your character and see them speak. And they're doing so much with like collaboration, and they're doing storyboarding. They have a lot of great features coming out, which is why I like them, not just because I have an affiliate link with them, but I like the sort of the difference in terms of how the writing works. So if you're more of a visual type of person, take a look at SoCreate, give it a try. As always, try the free versions first, or the 30 days, see if you like it. Don't ever buy anything until you sort of kick the tires. And that's the biggest thing at all. As you look at all these different softwares, find the one that works for you, because that's the best software. It doesn't matter if it's free or if it's $1.99 or if it's a subscription model or one of the ones that I didn't even cover today. Pick one that lets you write, one that you feel comfortable with. That's the most important piece of software to use. So what do you think? Which of these softwares work the best for you? Do you have any other particular questions about that? Is there a different software that works great for you? I still got a ton that I'm still working through again. There's been so many updates in the screenwriting space over the last couple of years. That's a lot of my videos that talked about things like Arc Studio Pro need to be refreshed and need to be updated because there's so much happening and so much more happening. Is there a particular screenwriting software you really want me to look at? Let me know in the comments section below. And as always, live well and write well. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.